say?
I don't know. So now I'm with Brian at his, out on his deck in Florida. Apparently he's preoccupied with this damn phone.
I'm looking at the website, trying to... That's what we're doing. We're coordinating the website, trying to get the website finished for y'all, so you have something to look at, easier to follow along than right now. Just going by my stupid 2-minute videos on Facebook. We'll be able to load them up and have everything a one-stop shop where everything's in one place. That's what we're trying to coordinate right now. I just wanted to see how it's laid out, and we're going to get all the information put on there for you.
So let me ask you, when we were in the car, you said you went to 3rd grade in the reset, basically, or?
Chair's doing it.
Yeah, those chairs are
Darn it.
worthless. You went through 3rd grade out there at the county.
Yeah, out on 27. I don't know what it's called.
And
I had to call it intermediate.
you did not like that at all.
No. I did not belong.
So when you integrated into a regular school, how was that?
Very tough. Very tough. Because as kids, you automatically see somebody that's different, and you obviously, I guess the word pick on would be correct. You know, kids didn't know how to react. I remember my first day walking into class, the first boy I met was Vic Spagnola, who was still, I would consider, a friend that I speak to on a semi-regular basis. He lives down here in Boca Raton, Florida. But other than him, and from day one...
Oops, sorry about that. That was
sorry
loud.
about the truck doing their hydraulics. And Ray Medina and a few others. To be honest with you, that was so many years ago. Just feeling uncomfortable, not feeling as part of the group at the beginning. It took a lot of years to get people to understand that I wasn't all bad just because I walked like a turtle on steroids. Didn't mean my personality was bad. But really, things didn't get comfortable, honestly, I would say, till junior high. I mean, elementary was up and down. Because even when I started to get friends, you still had the bullies, you still had the kids that were just out to make your life miserable. Obviously, it's a lot worse now than it probably was then, of course, but it was sort of the same. You had the kids that were trying to make a name and thought they were tough. I didn't really feel comfortable until junior high. Once I got into junior high, by then I knew everybody, so that was the bonus of going to a small town is, once you did know everybody, you did. There wasn't a lot of new kids in and out.
So junior high was a lot better?
Junior high is when it improved a lot. I remember when I went to junior high, we had the trailers, because they didn't have the junior high built yet.
Mm-hmm.
So we still went into the high school a lot. That was tough, but I had one incident in high school. I don't know if I should name names or not, but that was taken care of appropriately. But that was it. I had one major issue. Like I said, I don't think naming names would be a very good idea. But it was handled appropriately. Other than that, I really, even all through junior high and once I got into high school,
But then in high school, I know you were pretty popular, so things went...
I was comfortable in high school because I was involved in so much stuff. I didn't play in anything, but I was involved in so many different manners.
Were you the manager for the baseball?
Baseball, I was first base coach for 2 years. Football, I was just basically doing stats and stuff, whatever they needed. Basketball, same thing. Taking stats, rebounds, things like that, fouls. Keeping track of all that information. Shoot, now I'm sure they do it all on video. I'm sure they don't even have somebody do that anymore.
So where would you say when did sports become such a big thing for you?
Growing up, my dad took me to baseball card shows everywhere. We met, Chet Lemon and Alan Trammell, and back when they were still playing when I was really young. And it's just something that I gravitated to, Of course, Tim Rick owned the card shop, which Dad had a lot of connection with, buying a lot of things from him through the years. We probably had, I don't know, I'm throwing a number out there, probably 3 million cards, I'd say. A room and a
3 million?
A room and a half full of them, but they all burnt down in the house fire, so I don't have any today. But, so we did a lot of traveling, a lot of card shows, which just kind of made me gravitate to sports. I've always had an interest. I can't explain it. I mean, even today, or even through school, I mean, if there's one thing that I would say that disability's taken away has been the ability to play sports. Because I'm convinced that if I would have had the leg I have today 15 years ago, like they're doing for kids now, which is wonderful, that I would have been playing the sports and not helping out. But I learned a lot from the coaches, and you know, of course, now I have a sports management.
So who are some of your favorite like teachers or coaches? Would you say?
Jack Nutter and Al Martin were great to me. Jack Nutter, you know, he came right to me from day one and said, you know, you're not going to make the team, but if you're more than, you know, if you're interested in helping out, I'd love to have you. And he was a very good baseball mind.
So was that sorry to keep interrupting, Brian? Was that your freshman year?
Wow. I mean, no, I went to St. John's High School my freshman year.
Oh, that's right.
I wasn't even at Ovid LC. It would have been my sophomore year, because I remember specifically my cousin Adam Gruesbeck was a baseball player on the team at the time, and he was 2 years ahead of me. So I would have been a sophomore, and then I did it my junior year, and to be honest with you, I did not do senior baseball my senior year because I helped out with girls JV softball with Julie and Steve Keck, which she still teaches there. I speak to her on a normal basis. That was a great experience. It was fun. But I helped out anywhere I could. You know, I was at the gym 7 in the morning, rebounding for the basketball players early in the morning, staying late at night. You know, with really no obligation. It's just a matter of having a love for the game. It had nothing to do with. I knew I wasn't going to play. I mean, that writing was on the wall.
So I mean, to wrap it up, you would say though that I mean, even though it was a kind of a rough start, high school was a pretty good time for you.
Freshman year stunk because I didn't go there and I didn't know anybody, but I moved.
So you left Ovid LC for 1 year, then came back.
Yeah, I moved
right.
That's when I moved to the Medina's home. They were so nice to let me move in there to allow me to go back to Ovid LC for my sophomore and junior year, and then I moved in with my grandma my senior year because my grandfather at the time was deadly ill. But I spent 2 years at their house. Tremendous people, great family, learned a lot. School wasn't very much fun when I was a kid, but as I got older and even today, you know, as most of you know, and people that don't, I've got a 7-year-old son, and he has asked me, because now he's in first grade, you know, when they have the issues at school, you know, you get that occasional kid that's just out to make somebody mad. You know, when I used to, even just going to the grocery store or going anywhere, people would stare at me all the time. And I try to explain to him that you just don't acknowledge them. You know, like, I don't care if somebody walks by and stares at me, I tell them to take a picture. You know, but now, I'll be honest, it's strange because I go to the store now and I'm normal. I mean, and even me mentally, it's hard to, even though it's a great thing, you just get, after 32 years of being that way and expecting people to look or expecting somebody to, you know, run into the occasional jerk that's going to actually say something, it's kind of strange now to go and know that you're just like anybody else that's walking up to the baseball gate or the Walmart checkout line, or I don't have to worry about, you know, everybody looking and then having my son asking, and I just kind of always brushed all that stuff off. Like I said, I only had one bad incident in high school, and that was taken care of in a proper manner. Like I said, I won't get into detail on that. But
then in your senior year, though, I mean, you won King, so that must have been pretty cool.
It was great. I was accepted very well, and I could not think, even all the way up to Kirk Bays, you know, even the administrative at the high school, everybody was always accepted. You know, like I said, A.O. Martin was great to me with football. Jack Nutter was the best with baseball. Not only did he let me help, but I learned a lot from him, because baseball's always kind of been, I mean, I played baseball and I made an all-star team as a kid. Baseball's always been my sport, if I might. I watch them all, but that's really the game that I love the most. But yeah, I was so well, everybody accepted, and then when I won King, I mean, that just tells you that you're respected when your classmates vote you for something like that. Yeah, do you get an award? Did it help me, you know, anything in life? No, but at the time, to know that your peers are that accepting of you with everything that I had going on was a great feeling. Yes, it
Right.
absolutely was.
Right. And so then after high school, you headed to where?
I moved to East Lansing with a very good friend of mine, still to this day. Zach Loins and I, we lived in an apartment in the ghetto in Lansing. I'll edit that. I hope. It was Walnut Street, Pine and Walnut Street in Lansing. It was a bad area, very bad area. And then I moved in. We were only there like 6 months. So I don't really have anything to report with that. I didn't even start working yet before I moved. And I moved in with my cousin Adam out over on Lake Lansing Road, and I worked third shift at Myers for a year and a half or so before I ended up moving over to Lake Odessa, where my dad bought a bar, and I bartended and managed there for almost 10 years.
So let's back up a second. So after, well, let's go with just walking and like when you were young, a baby or whatever. I'm assuming you crawled late or you walked later, or
if my memory holds true, I didn't start walking until almost 5 years old.
Now see, I knew your dad from when you were like a year old, and but we were kind of hit and miss, and I was doing things I don't remember. I remember going to your dad's one time, and he had to. I remember I came over and we had to keep you up all night because you had to have a brain scan or something in the morning.
Until the age of 10, I had epilepsy. I technically still have epilepsy. Epilepsy is what causes seizures. And at that time, when I was young, I had a lot of seizures. It started out where I was having 3 a day. It went to the point where it was 1 a week. It went to the point where it was 1 every 2 weeks, 1 a month, 2 a month. And what Carl's talking about is what they call an EKG, which is nothing more than a brain scan. But in order for them to do the brain scan, you've got to be asleep. So in order for me to be sleeping through the whole brain scan, it was my parents' responsibility to keep me up for 24 hours leading up to the appointment.
Right. So what year were you born?
81, March 30th, 81, the day Ronald Reagan got shot.
So 82. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
That's how I
I'm just trying to put it all together.
That's how I remember my birthday. Reagan took a bullet. Yeah, I had seizures pretty extensively. I'd say till 9, 10 years old. Little League baseball. Actually, I'll never forget it. My last episode, what I call an episode, was I was standing in line for Little League pitchers, and all I remember is the lady asking me for my money envelope. You know, when you ordered pitchers, you had an envelope, you had your money, your check, whatever. You hand it to the lady, and I just blacked out. I threw somebody's bike, smashed my head up against the fence. You know, the backstop.
So how old would you say you were there?
I had to be 10 probably.
And that's the last episode
That's the last episode I've ever had. I've never had another seizure since.
See, I don't remember you not walking, but I had just graduated and I was just in and out. I just met your dad like the year you were, just a few months before you were born.
Well, I remember it because I made the All-Star team for 2 years in Little League. And I missed that All-Star game because I was in the hospital because of that episode. I was in the hospital for 5 days.
Oh, I see.
So I'll never forget that because of that. I was in there, it was like our last game of the season, and then I had an All-Star game and I missed it because I was in there. But that was my last. I haven't had any kind of seizure activity. A great question would be, how did they control the seizures? I had to take as many as 16 Tegretol pills a day, 4 at a time. And then what they did is, as I got older and the seizures started to be less and less, you know, as they got them under control to where I wasn't having them daily and 2 or 3 a day, down to 1 a week, 2 a week, they obviously cut the pills down. I eventually got down to 1 a day. They did an EKG and said that the activity had gone away, the seizure activity, because that is something you do grow out of. You can. Not everybody does. I shouldn't say it like that, because that's not always the case.
So between the seizures and the cerebral palsy, then, I mean, medication's been a big part of all the way.
I'm nothing but a pharmacy in my body. I'm being honest. I've taken, if it's on the market, it's been in my mouth at some point. Now, you can ask my wife, I'm not good about pills. I'm not a huge believer in taking pills. As a matter of fact, I'll tattle about myself right on camera. I used to stay at friends' house. My parents would pack Tiger Tall pills and I'd flush them down the toilet. I'm not good about taking pills still to this day. I'll be 33 in 3 weeks, and matter of fact, I told Amy and the doctor today at the pain clinic that, I'm only taking if I need it. And I've had that. I mean, right now, if you went in my house, I've got a year's worth of gabapentin, which is a muscle relaxer. That's just because I don't take pills unless I need them. And now that the doctors know that, they're trying to, But back when I was a kid, younger, like we were talking about, I always get off track and talk about something else.
That's all right.
When I was younger, I had to take them. But the only thing I really had to take then was the Tegretol that controlled the seizures. I didn't start taking, muscle relaxers and sleep pills, things like that, until I was older, until I was out of high school.
So, aside from the medication then, what do the doctors prescribe or do for the cerebral palsy? Like,
when I was younger?
Yeah, was there...
Therapy.
Basically teaching you, trying to get you to walk better? Or
I've had the brace where it went from my ankle all the way up to my hip here. I've had the braces that just go to the top of your kneecap, down to my foot. I've had the foot insert, the ones that they insert in your foot, which I'll be wearing for my surgery here as soon as it gets made. That tried to help, because obviously back in 85 or 87 or even 1990, whatever you want to say, the surgery I just had didn't exist. So their only way of trying to, I guess you could say, maintain it would be the therapy to try to keep my muscles loose. See,
did some of those braces did it work at all, or a little bit? Or?
It's kind of funny that you asked that, because before I went to Dr. Prince for the surgery, I went and seen a foot specialist. And he was the first doctor, and I've literally seen hundreds of doctors in my lifetime, to say that therapy was not going to help me. It just was not. The reason for that is a big part of cerebral palsy is what they call spasticity. Spasticity is where your muscles are always tight, always. They just naturally go tight. A normal athlete, you go to a baseball game or you watch a gymnastic meet or even a wrestling meet or any of that, what do they do before they go on the mat or they go out on the field? They stretch. When I stretch, it doesn't do anything. I can stretch until the sun comes up, and my muscles are never going to be loose. Now they can, because I just had my leg cut in 12 places. But back then, when I was a kid, that's all they could do is the braces and the therapy, and it just wasn't working. I had in-house therapy. I had therapy twice a week inside school, where they took me out of class, and I went to the gym and rode bikes and tried to step, and they had a bunch of stepping mechanisms that they tried to help me use. They thought it was because my foot, one leg was shorter than the other. They thought that was a big cause. Come to find out.
Was one leg shorter than the other?
Yes, it is. It absolutely is. One is a centimeter, which is not nothing. Longer than the other.
Which is not that big of a deal, or it is a big deal?
No.
Okay.
Actually, that was the first question I had for Dr. Prince.
You had a double negative there. I didn't know what the hell you meant.
Who performed?
When you said nothing.
Oh, the grammar genius behind the camera. I asked Dr. Prince, that was actually my first question for him, was because one of their biggest things, as you'll see on some of the other videos, is they lengthen. I thought that may be part of my procedure. Because it was only a centimeter longer than the other, it was not an issue.
I see.
It did not factor in. They did not have to do any lengthening of the actual bone. Now they did lengthen the tendons, and I can do a whole other video on what the actual procedure was, because there's a lot of detail with that. But yeah, it's the lengthiness, come to find out, did not affect it. Now going back to when I was a kid, I had a little bit of rough luck. Not only from having being born with the disability, I had a doctor. His name was Dr. DeVito. He was a specialist at the time. He's world renowned, like a doctor I just went and seen. He had a plan. He was mapping it out as I got, but he wasn't going to do anything until I was fully grown. Well, the story would have it, he went on a skiing trip in Colorado and got an aneurysm, and end of the story. He's not here. So they weren't able to do anything when I was younger as a kid, other than the therapy and the braces, and if you ask the doctors today, now that we know the technology that we have now, and of course my doctor opinion, because I was my own doctor, they didn't work. And therapy still to this day doesn't work.
At least not for you.
It
I suppose every situation's different.
Well, it just depends on if you have spasticity.
Right.
I mean, a normal person goes to a physical therapist, it works. Because they can stretch their muscles out, they don't have the spasticity. If you have massive spasticity like I do, it isn't going to work. Now, it's working now, because without getting too far into the surgery, one of the biggest things he did was actually release, well, the way he worded it was release the tendon in the back of my foot, which is where the muscles go together, which is not allowing that to, there's no longer any spasticity in my foot because of that.
Right, but but right now, like I'm gonna pan down to your foot. I remember that right foot, I remember how you stood on your toe. You know, now you can put it flat on the ground. I mean, I don't think you've ever.
This
right?
is today,
right,
standing up, where before it was, I can't even do it.
Right, right.
I'm not even able to do it anymore.
Yeah, the heels.
It was turned that bad. It was in with the toe down. So
the heel was always
the heel
up.
was in the air.
You
and
couldn't
the toe
get your
was
heel
always
down, could
My
you?
heel was never down. I had what they call a foot drop, a massive foot drop. And that was another one of the corrections with the surgery is the foot drop. And that was why I started therapy that's first day out of the hospital, because they didn't want to lose that foot drop correction. Because they said if you don't do those exercises immediately, you'll lose it. And he would have had to gone back in there and did it again, because we'd lose the correction. What else?
Well, I mean, I guess, and we can go into more specifics on the surgery later, but I just kind of want to know what, I mean, everybody grows up different, whether you're tall, short, fat, ugly, pretty.
Kinda like you.
Thank you. But it does have to be tough when
It takes a mindset.
people have to open a door, or, you know, I mean, I don't know how you,
It takes
are
a
you
mindset.
offended when people
No.
people were to get a door for you? Or?
No. Anybody that knows me, close to me, knows I don't believe in offense. I mean, it goes back to people staring at me at Walmart. I mean, you have to have a thick skull. You have to know mentally.
A thick skull or a thick skin?
Both. Both, because it can wear on you mentally.
I know.
And I just, same way with this, you know, my whole life has been, putting it politely, a wreck. I mean, you know.
Physically, but I mean,
that's what I'm talking
but I've always
I'm
known
talking
you to
about
be.
I'm talking about
yeah.
the physical aspect of it.
Right.
It's always been tough. It's always, I mean, for me to even get out of bed prior to the surgery half the days was a feat, was progress. It's very tough to, because you know, even if you have friends and family that, you know, like you or love you for the way you are, you're going to walk out in the real world and those people don't know you. So you've got to be ready to take on whatever comes your way. You're not always going to run into nice people. You're going to have people ask you. I've had people approach me walking out of stores that say, you know, and I'm not going to get into religion or anything like that, but I will tell you this. I've had a lot of encounters in my life where I walked out of stores and people said, you know, you come to my house and I'm going to heal you and you're going to heal and this and that. No. You know, it just, you have to take it with a grain of salt. You have to just defeat it. And that's where we are today. I mean, I consider this a huge defeat towards cerebral palsy. Taking cerebral palsy head on, and I win. Now, do I still have cerebral palsy? Yes, I absolutely do. That's why I spent 3 hours in the doctor's office this morning and got nothing accomplished. I still have back problems. I still have my left foot, believe it or not. You probably can't see it on film.
Yeah, I did see
But
it.
it is actually not 100% straight. Now that right foot is so straight, that left foot is not perfect anymore.
Do you think you'll have that corrected someday, or see what happens?
I talked to Dr. Prince actually just last Wednesday when I seen him, and he told me before the surgery, and he told me again Wednesday, if we can have 2 legs like your left one, we're happy. Now, does that mean that after time it's not going to wear down like the right one did, and then we have to address it at a later date? That's very possible. You know, the hope is, through all of this, is that I get better posture, which will improve the back issue. I'm walking with my full foot, not only half of the foot. What I mean by that is I was always walking on the ball of my foot. So as the way the doctors explained it was, I was inflaming bone all day. 'Cause
Right.
I wasn't using my heel.
Just for 30 years.
Yeah, just for 30 years, no big deal. So a normal person, when they take a step, they use their entire foot. I was only using the ball of my foot, and that was all.
Right.
And not to mention it was, taking a beating on the side.
So I guess let me ask you, I know your dad's been a big help. I mean, I remember, like I said, that test and all that stuff, but you probably already said this, and I'm not trying to just say this for the camera, but obviously Amy has to do a ton. Just driving back and forth is...
My family across the board. Her parents, my dad, my sister, my best friend in the world, Ray Medina. Through all this has been a huge deal. The surgery, believe it or not, everybody, was the easiest part of this. There was, we went to Michigan for 2 weeks in December. My surgery was January 17th. Guess what I did the whole week when I got home? I had a stress test, I had 3 pre-ops, and then I had the surgery. I had basically gone to either therapy or a doctor's appointment every day for the last 3 months. Between the pre-ops prior, the surgery, the therapy, checkups, blood drawn. Now today for my back issue, I have had to go to the doctor literally almost every day for some reason for the last 3 months. Now, obviously my wife has played the biggest part of that because she lives with me. She has run me everywhere. She's missed, she's working again till who knows how long, because we were at the doctor's office this morning for 3 hours. But she's still getting her 40 hours in. She's run me all over. I could not do it without her, quite frank. I mean, that's what we're getting at. Without her, we're not even here talking about it, because I don't have a driver's license still. That's on the docket for things down the road. It's not priority 1 right now because I've got a lot of other things still to heal up and get done. But yeah, without, my dad spent 2 weeks here with my sister. After the surgery, they helped out a lot.
And then I know, and like you said, Ray came down for a few days,
Ray was
right?
here for 5 days, and he wasn't here for a lot of it after. But let me tell you, he kept my spirits up.
Right.
Leading into. Actually, you guys will see. Everyone will see videos of me in the room about ready to go in. It was the funnest 3 hours probably in my life, giggling and laughing and joking and just keeping my spirits up. That's a lot. A lot of people that don't have disabilities don't understand. It beats on you mentally. And leading up to the surgery, I was flying high. I wasn't worried about failure. I knew it was going to work. And if you read my post leading up to even before I got approved to have the surgery, that day that I went to see Dr. Prince, I said,
that's a good. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead, finish your thought, and then I'll.
I waited a year to go see Dr. Prince.
That was what I was going to ask.
And I woke up, and I had a feeling that he had an answer. I didn't know. I had seen him. I hadn't had a consultation. I had never met him. I didn't know anything about the Paley Institute. I didn't know anything about Dr. Paley. I didn't know anything that day. All I know is I got a referral from a neurologist, Dr. Vasquez, which is at the Heart and Family Hospital here in Port St. Lucie. She said she had sent 3 or 4 patients there previously. None of them had ever done a procedure before because of the length of time to wait to get an appointment and the length of time if they did have a procedure.
So it took you over a year to see him?
It was about a year, almost exactly.
And I remember yesterday you showed me the map of the world and whatever. I mean, he's obviously helped.
They're world renowned.
Dozens, if not hundreds.
Him and Paley are world renowned. People come from all over the world daily, every day. I mean, they do surgeries. I asked him about my surgery specifically. He said he does 3 of my surgeries a week. And that's just mine, everybody. He does.
And he is now currently, didn't you say yesterday, trying to teach other surgeons how...
Dr. Prince isn't. Dr. Paley is the one that the Institute was named after. He actually has a patent for the lengthening device. They specialize in lengthening arms and legs. He goes around the world and is trying to teach this procedure to all the other doctors around the world. Because I have to go to West Palm Beach every day for an hour every day. Now, that's nothing. These people come from, I was telling Carl a couple days ago, a kid from Dubai, he's 19 years old, he's had 23 surgeries. Well, he's got to come back every 6 months from Dubai. It's a 24-hour flight to get here.
Yeah.
And then he's got to stay somewhere by himself. I mean, these procedures are not easy. But I just woke up that day, and I just had a feeling. I had been told no by probably... Matter of fact, I've been sent to Minnesota and Wisconsin. I've been sent all over.
Oh, where'd you go in Minnesota?
to the Children's Hospital
I did
because
not.
he supposedly was really good. The only thing he found was my back problem. Thank you. They told me there's nothing they could do. I had seen all the best doctors in Michigan, which were supposed to have some of the best orthopedic surgeons in America, and they all struck out.
Of course, this is a newer procedure, isn't it?
Dr. Prince said it's been out for 5 years. 5 years.
Which is relatively new, yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely is new. But what's great about it is he does adults like myself, but now he can do it on the kids when they're younger.
Right.
Like I would have given anything to have it done at age 4 or 5 to do it than to do it now, and that's what makes me feel good, just as a person going in there and seeing these little kids. And Carl witnessed a couple. There wasn't many there, but they're doing these procedures on these kids when they're 1, 2. That's the best time because they won't remember, and if they do, they're going to remember very little, and all the pain and everything will be gone before they even realize it. So it's great. But when I went and met Dr. Prince that day, which I wish I had an exact date for you, but I'm sorry I had known it. I know it was in November, but I don't know the date exactly right now. He knew exactly. I walked in there. He asked me to walk up and down the hallway. He did what he called a flexibility test, where he laid me on my stomach and just kind of bent my leg every way he possibly could. And he said, "This is negative. This is negative. This is negative. I'm going to do this, 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 and this." And you'll see that's on video. I've got all that. And he knew exactly what he was going to do. You know, he explained to me it's 8 to 9 month process. It could be as much as a year depending on how you heal. You've got therapy every day. He outlined it for me. His exact words from the doctor was, "Your first 90 days of this are going to be hell." And let me tell you, he is right. It has not been fun.
But the pain, it's been
gone.
7 weeks, and the pain's
gone. I don't have any surgical pain anymore.
Right.
The only pain is the back, and I'm dealing with that.
So let me ask you this. I mean, I don't want to... after you get your legs, strengthened, or let's say 6 months down the road, 9 months down the road, then what's your dream situation out of this? Where do you want to go from here?
My first goal out of this, well, I'll be honest, my first thing out of this, and hopefully before it's over, is I'm going to lose 15 pounds that I gained from it.
You mean from the surgery?
Since the surgery, I put on 15 pounds because I can't go anywhere. I can't do anything. I have no activity. So I put on weight, lose that, which I'm hoping to be able to do even before I'm 100% healed.
You're not going to do that eating 2 Whoppers.
Never mind. Then I'd really like to start getting into running 5Ks for foundations. Special Olympics is the first number 1. And then go from there. Now, what do I do with this? I'm hoping from all this that I inspire somebody. As a matter of fact, I already know I have. I've spoken to a few people, which is great. This is not about me, and I want everybody to know that right off the top. These videos, anything you read, I'm not somebody that reaches out for attention. I'm hoping that if one person finds my website or listens to this video and finds the Paley Institute and their life has changed forever, then for me all this is worth it. And that's what this is about. Because let me tell you something. I lived in Florida for 3 years before I even found the Paley Institute, and it's an hour away from my house.
Right.
And then I lived in Michigan for, 28 years and knew nothing about it. So there's a lot of people in America right now, I guarantee you, that'll love to run into this video or my website and be able to find them, because they are the best surgeons in America. And it's not just for people with CP. You might have, they do all kinds of procedures, which I always tell everybody. I've had a lot of people ask me, just go to the PaleyInstitute.org, their website, and the very first thing that happens, the video comes on.